Welcome to the Align Leader podcast. Our guest today is Todd Erickson. Todd is an Associate Director of Atwell, LLC, a full-service consulting, engineering, and construction services firm. Todd is a land development expert with 30-plus years of planning, hydrology, engineering, surveying, and construction experience. He has a bachelor's in civil engineering and is a professional engineer, PE. Welcome, Todd. Glad to have you on the podcast today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate you inviting me on.
Excellent. I'm so glad you're on. Todd, let's talk a little bit about your career at Atwell as an associate director. Tell me, how did you get started? And you 30 years later, you're an associate director. Tell me a little bit about how that all happened.
Yeah, it's been a long career. I've been thankful and blessed with a lot of different experiences, and I've recently landed at Atwell to help drive their large project and a single family group in the DFW area and beyond in the Texas region mostly. So I've found myself assisting with quite a few different groups internally in our a group in Dallas, to the fact that I've got such a wide range of experience. So they lean on me pretty heavy for that. So it's been great though. It's a really good, it was a really good opportunity when it came along, and I jumped at it and enjoyed working with the folks that are, in the DFW area, and I've gotten to know the leadership as well from the home office. So.
Excellent. And how did you get started in civil engineering? What, was there a passion there, or was it, hey, I think I want to be a civil engineer, and let me go to college and become a civil.
Actually, it's, I had a grandfather, actually two grandfathers that were foremen one was a foreman for the Great Northern Railroad, which became Burlington Northern. And the other was like a roundhouse foreman, so he did all the mechanic work within the roundhouse, and then. But the one, my grandpa Erickson, he was up in northern Minnesota, and he would early in his career he helped build bridges and depots going all the way out to Montana from across that northern region, and then later in his career he tore the depots down and just mostly did rehab on bridges and stuff, but he kind of, and I'd tag along with him every summer, and we'd, he was retired at the time. Back then, he got a nice retirement from the railroad. He retired at 50. So I got to hang out with him for, a good 20 years before he passed away. And he taught me a lot of skills and kind of got me involved in that. My father's also, he's a mechanical engineer, never really practiced mechanical engineering, but, kind of gave me an interest in that. So I always enjoyed the outdoors as well. Big into hunting and fishing, especially growing up in Minnesota area, and moving to Wisconsin later on. But we had a lot of opportunities there. So that kind of led me to kind of look at civil really heavily, and it worked out well. I enjoyed the surveying aspect of it. So that's really how I landed. And there was a kind of a funny story too, because I was right in the middle of like deciding if I should go mechanical or civil, and I seriously flipped a quarter and it landed heads, and I went through civil, but I was leaning more towards civil. I think the quarter read my mind. So
yeah. Wow. Yeah. That's I don't know that I've heard too many people talk about flipping a coin on how they're going to choose their major, but yeah. I'm a mechanical engineer, so it's like, civil engineering, mechanical engineering. I'm not sure that I would have made a great civil engineer. I always say that when I talk to a lot of engineers, and especially electrical engineers, they're very smart people. And I always say, I'm just a dumb mechanical engineer. So you're going to have to dumb that down a little bit so that I can understand what you're saying.
Yeah. And, I always liked, looking at water and streams and the hydrology and geology and rocks. And, I kind of had that passion from an early stage. So it was, and it was kind of at the time I was actually looking to go into the service. I had my pilot's license age 17, and I was looking to go into the service, and then get my degree, and then go into the service as a as an officer and fly helicopters or planes. Kind of get my professional license that way. But I ended up meeting my wife. Kind of changed my trajectory a little bit and stayed with civil. So I really enjoyed it. I had a lot of good experiences. I don't know if you want me to go through all of my experiences, but I can share. I came out of school. I got my went to work with a county engineering department in Waseca County, Minnesota. And spent a year there. Actually got a lot of good experience there. Got my bridge inspection certification. Ended up inspecting 80 some bridges in a year, which is kind of a fun deal. And then I moved on to municipal engineering for about 4 years. Gained a lot of good experience there. Worked under some really talented engineers. Got some city engineering experience. Got to analyze water systems, design a water system, designed a water tower. Got involved with the wastewater group for a little bit. They were just basically bringing me through their system, and then also got involved in some pretty good sized grading projects. And I was an engineer that didn't shy away from using CAD. I taught myself CAD at Waseca County Highway. They weren't using it, and I decided just to take that on and start drawing cool. Plans using AutoCAD. So and that really allowed me to take off of the design, and I found that I had a real passion for the design portion of it too. So that was a good thing for me to do. And I have to give some kudos to my uncle Lyle. He bought me a CAD program, and actually taught me how to fly. He was a Vietnam helicopter pilot, and he ignited that passion in me too as well. So, but got to be a good design engineer, and just I got recognized for that. And then I got a call from a company that was looking to hire me as a contractor. So that was kind of the start of my engineering business. I ended up being a design engineer for a number of different firms, and gained a lot of valued experience by doing that. So I was able to get a lot of different experiences really early on in my career, and that allowed me to open up my own engineering firm in the Twin City area. Ran that and then for some time, and then partner with a surveyor. We had a 10-year run for the Great Recession, and then I started back up after helping a buddy of mine do some contracting work. He turned his contracting company over to me for a little over a year, and we were doing design build work. He wanted to take a break and actually focus on a patent he's working on. But then so I ended up getting a lot of good experience on the construction side, running that whole operation. It was a 25-man operation. Ran that for a little over a year, and stepped away from that and took back off on engineering, and then ended up down in Texas about 5 years ago doing real similar type work. And so it was it's been good in Texas as well. I've worked for a few firms down here, mostly just to gain experience and really find the right home too. And I feel like I found that at Atwell. They seem like they've got everything going for them, and they're expanding in the area, and it's a really nice platform for me to take off. And they do offer a real nice entrepreneurial type spirit. So it fits well with what I was looking for. So
excellent, outstanding. I'll tell you, I'll give you one hint about me. In school, I had to take a terrain analysis class. We had to draw a map, and after that I was like, yeah, I'm not a engineer. I can read a map, but to draw one, not so much.
Well, sir, yeah. I got a funny story that relates to that. So I've got a kind of an artistic side as well. So that comes from my mom and my mom's family, very artistic people and painters and everything else. And you're talking about terrain analysis and drawing topo maps, and my instructor, he was an old German immigrant, and he he yelled at me. He goes, "We're not in art class, Todd." So I was doing these nice like curved contours, and he's like, "No, it's not." He's like, "You wanted the straight math." So it's kind of funny.
Well, we called terrain analysis. We called it terrain paralysis.
Yeah,
Yeah.
understood. So, I'm still drawing pretty pictures though. To this day. So I didn't listen to him. I'm still smoothing out my contours.
Let's switch over to your company a little bit.
Sure.
And I'll tell you one thing that I saw on your website. I'm front and center. Didn't have to look for it. It says, "We hire great people." Period. And it goes on to say, "Atwell is a business of passionate people. To us, the right cultural fit is just as important as the right technical fit. We encourage our people to be bold and solve the problems they care most about without being constrained by profit centers. Our diverse workforce is what makes us successful, and our culture is a large driver of our low turnover rate." And I'll tell you, as a recruiter, as a talent solutions person, that makes my heart just happy. I mean, we hear so many negative things about large corporations, but the reality is there's a lot of great corporations out there doing a lot of great things. And to read that, like I said, front and center on your website, just makes me happy. So tell me a little bit about that. Tell me what that culture feels like. You're on the inside. Tell me, is that really the way that culture feels like at Atwell?
Yeah, and Atwell is unique in the fact that they're growing probably as fast organically as they are by acquisitions, and they've got a big organic push as well. So they know, they and that and what I've been impressed with is that when their acquisitions come in, they allow them to continue to work, and then they basically assimilate into the program. But they, for the most part, just let them run and do what they really are good at. So it's been an interesting way to see how that is, because in the bad really poorly. So it's refreshing to see how they're handling that part of it. I can say that it is true for the standpoint of, in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, we're hiring really top talent folks. I mean, very communicative engineers, which is not easy to find a lot of times,
Right.
and still very technically sound too. So I've enjoyed working with the folks here, and and we'll continue to grow organically in the DFW area outside of a recent acquisition that we had with Manhard Consulting that purchased, and bringing them into the fold as well. So they're a very similar group here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So it's going to be a nice, easy transition. And I've gotten to know the leadership there as well, and I feel really comfortable working with them. And it's really going to help me springboard the work that I was trying to bring in the door, the single family work, because they've got really good stronghold here in the DFW area. So I hope to just piggyback along with them and assist with their program, and help them grow and help the whole group grow from that standpoint. So it has been refreshing. I can tell you, top tier technical support. They basically allow what I've described to other engineers, and that's how I described to the Manhard folks, is that they've got a lot of good back office help that allows you to be more of an engineer than like a bookkeeper, and those type of issues are kind of dulled down because of such a good back office support. So it's been refreshing. So,
Excellent. Yeah, that's.
yeah,
I mean, like I said, the negativity out there. You don't hear about companies that are doing great things for their people because in the end, it's all about your people, right? I
yeah,
mean, you can have great technical innovation. You could have the greatest mouse. I mean, I know I know you guys build roads and build bridges and tunnels and stuff like that. But you could have the greatest of everything. But if you don't have passionate people, that you know eventually you've got to build something new because what you have won't last without taking great care of your people. So like I said, as a recruiter, I love to hear about companies that take great care of their people because I don't want to work with companies that don't take good care of their people.
right.
That's
Yeah,
just
that's a good point. The one thing I did notice, they brought me up to the home office, which is up in Michigan, uh, and spent some time there with folks that were recently hired, and I found like really like-minded attitudes. A lot of entrepreneurial spirit, a lot of high energy folks. So it was pretty refreshing that way. So enjoyed that experience. You still got projects you got to get out the door, and you got deadlines and everything else. It's it's the same job, but if you get that, if a few of those pressure points and uh, things are kind of dulled down a little bit for you, it really makes it a lot easier to perform and to keep your eye on the ball and really the way that I've always sold myself and sold project is really by doing good work, and I think that attitude is prevalent with
right.
the Atwell deal. And one of the things that stuck out to me with Atwell is that one of their promises is that they will provide the proper technical support for you and for your project. And that's what I've seen as well. So even at the cost of the company, they'll do that to keep their name and reputation. So
Yeah, that's fantastic. One of the other things that I saw was the Atwell Gives Foundation. The Atwell Gives Foundation is a separate charitable foundation funded by the Atwell family of companies that supports 501c3 organizations associated with STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, education, and opportunities for youth locally and nationally. Can can you tell me a little bit about that? That's another area that I am very interested in. I think very important for this country in the for the future.
yeah, I think Atwell recognizes that, and they're putting efforts towards that, and allowing people to get involved and with those type of organizations, and allowing that money to be spent, time and time for employees to be away from the computer and be helping out and improving that space for young engineers to see how we actually operate and what their career could look like, if they wanted to step into it. So that's a big part of it. And I've taken that initiative too. Just being just more of I've always I'm trying to be the mentor that I never had, and really teach engineers, how to actually do the business. Because a lot of times the engineers come out of school and it's basically got a lot of math and science, behind under their belt, but they don't get that. Some may or may not get that the opportunity to be involved with the company, while they're still in school with an internship or something like that. But so they come out of school pretty green. They really don't understand what the job actually is. So I've kind of taken on myself with this group too, and with a few other groups that I was with, just to really teach how, what do you need to know, all the context, all the all of the glossary terms, everything, the vocabulary of engineering, basically, you don't get while you're in school. So just to relieve that stress of young engineers, I've been trying to go. We have a lunch and learn every week that we put on, and just to go over that. It's basically it's volunteer if you're able to come. And it's a topic that interests you, you can come. So we normally have probably 12 people, our group that they get together once a week just to hear different discussions. And we'll have outside contractors come in, outside suppliers come in and provide some expertise as well, just to substantiate the education for our young engineers. I think if we can maintain that with our young engineers, they can see that they can continue to learn from the older guys with gray hair in the company, and that they'll stick around. I think the engineers that move on are the ones that felt like their managers not feeding into them, or not pouring into them enough, that they're not learning, and they just want to continue to learn, because this is a lifelong learning experience or degree, or it's something where, I tell the young engineers that I work with that I learn something new every day. Now I'm on to AI, how to use AI in our profession. So I've actually been taking some time on my own to kind of substantiate how we can make some of our tasks a lot easier. So it's stuff like that that you continue to learn all the way through the entire career. And I share that with with our young engineers. I said that's really the thing that drives me and gets me out of bed in the morning to be excited about the job, and to teach too. I come from a line of educators, and I think it's in my blood to kind of propagate that in education and continue that along. And not to say that I'm perfect on it. Somebody will bring something up in discussion, and it's like, yeah, it's a good point. I didn't think of that. So and you got to take a good attitude with it, because it's a huge career, or huge. There's so much to know in civil engineering and land development, and my real goal too was always to learn enough that my developers really sought me out. Just a quick phone call, hey, what do you think of this? And it's just an easy way to drive relationships and get new work in the door too. So and to know everything about their side of the business, as much as possible. It really helps. So
nice, very nice. And you talked a little bit about developing young engineers. Let's talk a little bit about the talent management. You've already touched on it a little bit with lunch and learns and mentorship, and that there is a ton to learn. Tell me a little bit about talent sourcing. We already talked about how important every hire is at Atwell. Maybe share not necessarily what you guys do, but just what's the attitude toward we need to find the best person we can. Now we need to develop them. Whether it's training and learning development or leader development, we need to figure out how to retain them. We need to figure out how to upskill or cross skill. So comment on that as best you can. I know you're not necessarily directly in the talent acquisition, but everything you do also affects all your employees, right? Because they're looking at you saying, hey, here's what Todd's saying, so what does that mean for me? That kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think one of the things Atwell has basically a headhunter fee that they'll pay the employees if they get if they recommend a person and that person ends up getting hired. So that's a huge benefit. So they have it's basically folks that that you already know their work ethic, you already know their abilities. It's a lot easier way to get good people in the door by doing that. And they do. Atwell also has a pretty good amount of internal folks that go out to colleges, and they do a lot of work trying to get young engineers in the door that way as well. So it's been, I think that standpoint, it works. And the one thing that's been refreshing too is that we're one profit center, so we were able to share employees really easily. And I've noticed as well as there's if anybody in the entire company really has a need, they'll reach out to all the PMs and express. So that's been a nice. That was something that I had to kind of take. I kind of had to sit back a little bit and go, "Wow, this is different." Everybody's actually trying to work together.
Yeah, rather than we're all competing. All in the same company, but we're all competing against each other.
I mean, there's little. You still have, some folks trying to keep their folks busy and everything else. But if you've set the mindset, of hey, we're all going to work together, I would take that direction instead of the other direction. So
yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. I'll be honest with you. I've worked for very few companies that have that type of mentality. I mean, a lot of internal competition, a lot of internal friction that way. Hey, you're trying in the same direction. So, why are we not working together rather than, this competition? So again, kudos to Atwell for creating that type of culture. I've also been in companies where, the mission statement, the motto, all those are just great words. We don't actually practice any of them. They really don't mean anything until someone does something wrong. And then we all point to, well, that's what was in our mission statement. And it's like, yeah, our mission statement didn't really mean anything. So I kudos to Atwell for, driving that type of culture, because, to me, that's a company that I would like to work for.
It is. I mean, you see a lot of folks excited to work, excited to be at the job, and the interaction I've seen too. It's been even in our group. A lot of us are remote, but we still have we'll have breakout teams that will just run continuously all day. So basically you're working together in the same room. You can talk, interact, and so that's been a nice deal too.
One last question. We already talked a little bit about what Atwell's doing with STEM. What about trades? Are you seeing a deficit in trades? And what if so? What is Atwell trying to do to correct that as well?
We don't get a whole lot involved in the trades portion of it. We do have an arm of the company though that does do construction. So, but it's more on
the design side.
Yeah, design. Well, and they do construction. It's a small group, but it was an acquisition. I think they're mostly out of the Colorado area, but it's transmission type work. But from that standpoint, we're really on the design side and the consulting side for the most part. So are the services that we offer, and for the most part, we are working on the private side. So counties or highway departments. So it's mostly on the private side. So and it's usually preferred that way. Especially when you get involved in municipalities. If you're working for the city and then trying to get a developer to come in the door, it's a little difficult. So there's some firms that do it well and some that but Atwell's chosen not to really go down that path. They've had a really good track record by just staying more on the.
Okay. So Todd, what final thoughts do you want to leave with our audience?
Anybody that's considering civil engineering, it is a very rewarding career. It's not the most lucrative career, but it's getting better. And you define your own path in it too. I mean, if I have anything else, but I've really chosen more just to get experiences and really substantiate my abilities and keep my abilities up and pivot, pivot on the work. Don't get stuck in just one type of job, because the economy changes and you got to change along with it. So it's very necessary to be nimble. During the Great Recession, there's a lot of civil engineers my age that just there's a pretty good sized gap right now of there was missing mentorship, because of that. And so there's I think as an industry as a whole, I think we have to really devote more time to the young engineers now, and really get that back to where it should be.
Right.
So, and really have some good high-powered engineers, moving forward and to train the next generation. So, but it's been a great career, and I'll continue to do it until they tell me I can't do it anymore. So.
Well, Todd, it's been a pleasure chatting with you today. For those of you watching the podcast, I hope you received some pearl of wisdom, and I hope you'll join me for my next podcast. Remember, aligned leaders are superpowering great companies, strengthening the bonds of the company's strategic goals.